Hi everyone, my name is Haley, and I'm 16 years old. I have to confess I committed a crime, and I got away with it. But I don't have a guilty conscience because I did it to save a child's life. I have to introduce my sister first. This is Amanda. She's 1 year older than me. You know, older sisters usually set an example for younger ones. They help with household chores, school, and personal problems. In my case, everything was the exact opposite. Amanda is a great example of how you should not live. From the age of 16, she started hanging out with older guys, going to endless parties, and disappearing from home for a few days at a time. After just a few months of this life, she had changed a few guys, gotten herself a tattoo, and our parents picked her up from the police station twice. Obviously, she had fallen in with a bad crowd and succumbed to its influence. The worst thing was that she didn't want to listen to anybody, neither our parents nor her teachers. So I just watched how Amanda lived and did the exact opposite. I tried to be a good daughter so my parents wouldn't be so unhappy, but it was difficult. My mom and dad tried to influence Amanda's behavior, but very soon they got used to it and gave up any attempts to change her. I think Amanda was lost to them, and they were just waiting for her to turn 18 so they would be absolved of any responsibility for her actions. But after another month, she came home in the morning and told us the news from which my mother almost had a heart attack. She came into the house while we were having breakfast. She looked very tired. Apparently, partying all night wasn't that easy. The first thing she said to us wasn't "Hi" or "How are you?" In a sad tone, she told us that she was pregnant. For a few minutes, there was complete silence in the house. I guess we were all trying to process this information. Then my mother began to breathe heavily and clutch her heart. Dad wanted to help her, and I was just sitting there and not knowing what to do. Meanwhile, my sister just silently went to her room. Thank God Mom was okay, but I can understand her reaction. It was very tough news. We spent the next few days fighting and arguing about what to do next. Our parents said that Amanda wasn't ready to have a baby, but she insisted that she knew better. Of course, my parents couldn't make my sister get rid of the baby, so the decision was made. Amanda was going to have a baby. I have to say, for the first time in months, my sister took her life into her own hands. She knew that she could hurt the child, so she started to quit all of her bad habits. It was hard, but my parents and I helped her all the way. We hoped that having a child would change her life and she would return to the family. I also wondered who the father was and why he wasn't around Amanda, but she didn't want to talk about him. Apparently, he was afraid of the responsibility and just ran away. Anyway, those 9 months that my sister was carrying the baby were quiet and happy. Finally, she gave birth. It was a perfectly healthy baby boy. She named him Jared. Oh, I just couldn't hold back the tears when I looked at him. His pink skin and small fingers brought up strange emotions in me, or even instincts. The baby was surrounded by care, but I still wanted to pick him up and to help him somehow. Amanda was soon released from the hospital and we returned home. I thought we were going to have a new life and take care of the baby and Amanda together, but I was wrong. A few weeks later, she had postpartum depression, and she began to seek solace in her old circle of friends. Amanda began to live her old life. She hung out until the wee hours of the morning again, and sometimes she didn't even show up at home for days. This made me very angry. She was supposed to be feeding her baby, and instead she was partying all the time. My parents were always fighting with Amanda. They refused to take care of the child because they were trying to force her to babysit her own baby. But it didn't work. As a result, Amanda was hanging out somewhere with friends, and my parents didn't want to help the child just on principle. So it was just me. I was spending all my days with the baby in my arms, nursing him and changing diapers. I spent all my savings and pocket money on baby food, and I could barely get more money from my parents. The situation in the house was tense, and I thought it couldn't be worse. But soon Amanda had another serious conversation. She told us that she was going to move to New York and asked for money to move there. To be honest, I was very surprised by her audacity and indifference about her own child and family. I spent all my days caring for her baby, giving it all the strength I could. I don't even remember when the last time was that I had a proper night's sleep. And my sister has been living happily, and now she was asking for a lot of money to move. In addition, she was going to move alone, without Jared. This was unbelievable. But you know what surprised me the most? My parents agreed. I was like, what? Are you serious? But they only agreed to Amanda's request because they had a plan. Once my sister left, they were going to put the baby up for adoption. Thus, they would solve all their problems and would be able to return to their quiet life. I couldn't believe my parents would do something like that. I couldn't let that happen. I fought with my parents, begged them to leave Jared with us, and I barely managed to convince them. So Amanda left, my parents started a quiet life, and I was left alone with the baby. Despite the fact that I was very attached to the child, it was incredibly hard for me to take care of him. He was crying all the time, and I couldn't understand why. Did he want to eat or sleep, or did he want a pacifier? I didn't know. His only language was crying. On top of all this, there was an incredible lack of money. Since my parents gave a lot of cash to Amanda, my pocket money decreased, so I felt like I never had enough money to buy diapers and all that stuff. So while the baby was sleeping, I was washing diapers, and I was trying to get my parents to help me a little bit. I really needed my parents' help, because when the summer was over, I would have to go back to school, and Jared would be left unattended. Mom saw how hard it was for me, and sometimes she agreed to sit with Jared. It was the only time when I could actually sleep. After 3 months of this life, I was ready to go crazy. I had bags under my eyes, disheveled hair, and shabby clothing. I looked terrible, but soon I had hoped that everything would change. My sister came back from New York, but she wasn't alone. She came with her new girlfriend. Yes, exactly. Like my sister said, in New York, she finally found herself and realized what she was missing, and her new girlfriend helped her with that. After Amanda reported that she was pregnant a year ago, nothing else could surprise us. In addition, she was already an adult, and she could make decisions by herself. I hoped that she was returning to her son and would take care of him here, but I was wrong. She said something that made me nervous. Amanda and her girlfriend were going to move to live in South America, and they came home with only one purpose: to take Jared with them. This news made me really angry. Amanda just left the baby and went to New York, and I slept 3 hours a day so I could properly take care of him. He wasn't her baby anymore. He was mine. I really became very attached to him, and I felt a kind of maternal instinct toward him. Besides, how was Amanda going to take care of him? She knew nothing about children. She didn't even know how to change a diaper. Oh no, I didn't trust Amanda, and I wasn't going to put up with it. But it seemed like I had only one chance to keep the baby, and I was going to take it. When Amanda and her girlfriend were about to leave for the airport, I held them up as much as I could. I told them that I was packing Jared's stuff, feeding him, helping him sleep. And once there was very little time before the plane, I finally came down with Jared, who was lying in the baby carriage. Amanda was in a hurry, so they took him, got in a cab, and drove off. As soon as their car was out of sight, I ran back into the house and ran up to my room. I went to the crib and saw him. Little Jared was sleeping soundly and moving his legs in his sleep. He was probably dreaming. I started to cry with happiness. I've never seen anything more beautiful in my life than this baby. Half an hour later, I got a text from Amanda. Oh, it wasn't good. It was just full of insults for me. I have to say it was fair because I tricked her. When Amanda and her girlfriend got to the airport, they noticed that instead of Jared in the baby carriage, there was just a doll. Yes, I made the switch. I tried to wrap the doll in as many swaddling clothes as possible, so it was difficult for her to see its face. I bet Amanda wouldn't trade a trip to South America for her baby, so I kept him in the house so they wouldn't have time to come back. And as I suspected, when Amanda discovered the switch, she didn't disrupt her plans. That was her real attitude toward her own child. She didn't need him, and she didn't love him. But I was able to love him as my own, and I just couldn't let him go. Yeah, I know I actually committed a crime because I kidnapped my sister's baby. but it would be better for everyone. For Amanda, for me, and of course for Jared himself. After that, I talked to my parents for a long time about agreeing to take care of him. I guess they saw how much I loved him and what I was willing to do for this baby. And they agreed. With the help from my parents, my life became much easier. Every day I wake up happy because I knew the baby was with me. And it makes no difference who his birth mother is. The main thing is who loves him and who is ready to take care of him at all costs. Would you be willing to take responsibility for someone else's child? Share your opinion in the comments. And be sure to subscribe to this channel to not miss any more cool stories.